Okay, this is the hour. We'll take your phone calls with the Mac Tonys. Fire away at your stories about structures on Mars, or perhaps what you've heard them say, crypto-terrestrials hidden deep within the bowels of the planet. That'll be all next on Coast to Coast AM. Mac, if you could tackle one area of UFO research right now, fix it, solve it, what would that be?
Where it comes from. Is it from the just somehow generated by our minds? Is it from space? Is it some unrecognized aspect of existence? Is it, what is it? What is it? I think it would be every would-be ufologist's question.
Would you be able to get that answer?
I don't know. I don't know if that's an answer that our psychology would be able to encompass in a meaningful way. It could be that strange. It could be so strange that we're just not up to comprehending an answer. We might have to evolve for a few million years before we're up to it, or maybe it's not for us. Maybe this is a phenomenon that will make sense to our mechanical predecessors, or successors, rather. I'm sorry.
All right, well, let's go to the phones. Let's pick it up first of all. Let's go west of the Rockies. Welcome to Coast. You're on the air. Where are you calling from?
Los Angeles.
Good. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, George. Hi, Mac. Hi. Hi, I wanted to ask, a lot of people listening will say, well, this is fine. It's speculation, but where does it lead us and what good does it do? What would you say to that opinion?
I would say that it advances an inquiry that has haunted our history from almost from its inception. I mean, you go back to ancient Sumeria, for example, and you find the legend of the Oans, this entity from the water that supposedly imparted the wisdom how to create civilization. There seems to be something going on, and it seems to be physical, and it seems to be under some sort of intelligent control. It would behoove the human species if we knew what we were dealing with in terms of whether this is a phenomenon that is here to help us in some way, something we could harness for our own advantage. Is it something that's impeding us, something that's restricting our progress? It shows every sign of being intimately interested in the human experience. So that, to me, signals some alarm bells. It makes me wonder, why this inordinate interest in human affairs? If it's extraterrestrial, why? Likewise, if it's generated here on Earth by some sort of intelligence that we don't recognize or don't understand, why this interest? Because it seems suspicious, frankly. And if we learn something about our own ability to comprehend our universe or our own perceptual abilities in the process, then that's gravy. That's an extra bonus that we should welcome. So I think there are myriad benefits to understanding this phenomenon. One of its points, and this has been pointed out by others, is that this phenomenon seems to be leading us somewhere, in the sense that it progresses in distinct incarnations, from phantom airships to ghost rockets, whatever. It seems to be one step ahead of what we're presently capable of technologically. So it could be functioning as an evolutionary catalyst. It could be catalyzing or accelerating our own sense of what is possible. And in that sense, it might be some sort of evolutionary trigger. So if we can isolate this, if we could say this is what it is, then that could have profound effects for not only how we think of ourselves as a technological species, but how we propel ourselves into the future.
All right, let's go to Jacksonville, California. Jake, you're up with us. Hey, Jake, go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Sure thing.
I just had a quick question about an old case. I didn't know if you all heard anything about it. I saw it on the computer the other day, and I didn't ever hear any follow-up to it, because it was probably 15 years ago, but it was the Guardian case, and it was about I think it was in Canada or whatever.
I remember reading about that. In fact, that was big when I first got online. I remember seeing some hazy pictures. My impression was that the Guardian case was a hoax, but don't quote me on that. I'd have to go back and research that. It seemed a little too good to be true, quite honestly, to me at the time. And it's one of those things that if I saw it on YouTube now, I'd probably roll my eyes and do a little clicking to figure out what was going on and who was doing it and why. But I'm tempted to say it's a hoax because that was my impression at the time. But I'd have to check.
I was talking with a former Marine who said that the first time he saw a Harrier jet, now for those who don't know what they are, those are planes that will lift up, straight up, just very vertically, and then take off. And he said he saw it for a distance, and he thought it was a UFO.
Well, why wouldn't you? They're quite impressive, yeah.
Which brings up the question, how many people are truly seeing man-made craft thinking they're extraterrestrials? And maybe all of them are man-made. What do you think?
I wouldn't say all of them. I think that there is, once you weed out all of the potential IFOs, there is a genuine core phenomenon. There is a genuine burning question at the center of all this. But there's no question that a lot of witnesses are seeing man-made aircraft. And there are more and more man-made aircraft that would qualify as possible, quote-unquote, flying saucers, these disc-shaped drones that we deploy in Afghanistan and Iraq, for example. There's some pretty ingenious designs out there. I don't think any of them would fool an observer for very long if they were very close. But from a distance, certainly they would qualify as your archetypal flying disc. And so that's obviously a factor that needs to be dealt with. But does this explain the UFO phenomenon? Not a chance.
Let's go to Dixon, Illinois. Simone, it's your turn. Hey, good morning.
Thank you very much. Hi, George, and hi, Mac Tonys.
Hey there.
In regards to the ETH and the Central Intelligence Agency, my question is, how extensive do you think the CIA's responsibility is in perpetrating the ETH, and are they actively ongoing perpetrating it to the very day within ufology, perhaps in the form of knock agents and so forth? And I'll hang up and listen. Thanks very much. So
I don't think it's CIA, Mac. I think it's a black ops program. I think it's a group beyond the CIA.
It could be both. I do think that the UFO mythos, meaning the extraterrestrial mythos, has been perpetuated by elements in the intelligence community to mask interest, or shun interest rather, in secret projects. Bob Lazar, for example, comes to mind as a possible someone who was utilized as part of the disinformation campaign. There's the classic story of Paul Benowitz, which Greg Bishop wrote about in his book Project Beta, an excellent book, talking about why the intelligence community would have an interest in forcing someone or encouraging someone to believe in a literal alien invasion rather than tell them the relatively harmless truth that he'd simply stumbled across transmissions from a base that he wasn't supposed to be receiving transmissions from. So it's a great way not only to make people lead people down the wrong way, but the laughter curtain, which has been in place for decades, pretty much ensures that the mainstream media will ignore the story. So whenever I hear about crash saucers or underground bases populated by aliens in the Southwest or whatever, I take an interest, not necessarily because I think it's true. I don't think those stories are true. Like I said earlier, the universe contains a maybe. Maybe there's some truth to it. I don't know, but I do pay attention because I wonder if someone could be hiding something. And the same goes for UFO crashes. When I hear about a UFO crash, and I guess the case I'm thinking of in this particular instance is the Roswell crash. Nick Redfern's dug up some intriguing documents that suggest that maybe someone was trying to hide a rather heinous chapter of in history dealing with human experimentation in the desert. And to encourage people to think that a flying saucer from outer space had crashed would be preferable to the